Stopping the recording.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. We are hanging out, waiting for quorum, and we will start when we have at least 24 folks here. And for anybody who just joined us, we are hanging out waiting for a quorum. So if anybody has colleagues that are on their way, we will start as soon as we hit 24, and then we'll take attendance and jump back into Wasco County.
We're slowly getting there. We need 6 now. I'm going to text that OAC members who are missing and see if any of them can join.
Ron is joining right now. And Keisha's here too, and Elizabeth. Great, we're getting there. Just checking on quorum, folks, and we'll get started. How many more, Carly?
One more and we're good to go.
Hey, and then if anybody needs to go, let us know first so that we can holler and try to get someone else to join us. I'm in the background, I am sending some messages to see if we can get a couple more folks.
I've reached out to Anne and Emily, and they will come as soon as they're done with their meeting.
Okay. Thanks, Kathy.
I'm here, Amy.
Hey, Amy, thank you for
Hey.
joining.
Yeah, sorry, I'm going to be multitasking while we're doing this.
And Keisha just let us know she needs to hop at 4:30, so we definitely need a little buffer. So we'll continue to recruit folks. Are we at quorum now?
No, I was wrong. We still need one person.
Ah, okay. Sam's going to hop over and join us while she can. Carly, do you want us to start slowly and methodically taking attendance? So maybe by the time we get there, we can be done and just roll.
Yes.
Awesome.
Amy.
I'm here.
Hey, Amy. Dharma, I don't believe that she is here. Keisha.
Here.
Hey, Keisha. Melinda. There she is gone. Morgan. Ron.
Ron's here.
And Abby, I'm just realizing that we do have quorum because of Melinda and Nicole. Their term was over. So taking them off of the reviewer list, we're good to go.
Oh, okay. What kind of wiggle room do we have? Because I know everybody is dealing with all competing priorities.
We are at 22. So,
And we need
um,
22.
or no, quorum is at 22 now. I don't know exactly what we're at. Let me pull that up
Okay.
again. Looks like we're at 23.
Okay. So by the hair of our chinny chin, whatever that is, skin of our teeth.
Yes.
That's what I was looking
Yeah.
for.
And we'll
Okay.
double confirm after attendance.
Okay, great.
You're next, Abby. Are you here?
I am here. Thank you.
Okay. Ariana?
Sorry, I'm here.
No worries. Ane, I don't think she came in yet. Dana?
I'm here.
Hi, Dana. Daniel? Danielle?
Here.
Drew?
Here.
Elizabeth?
Here.
Emily? I don't think she came in yet. Grace?
Here.
Gregory? Greta? Hannah?
Here.
John? Judith? Juliana?
Here.
June?
Here.
Kathy?
Here.
Kylie is not. Kirsten?
Here.
Liz?
Here.
Mark?
Here.
Maya? Megan? Michelle?
Here.
Nicole Corbin?
I'm here.
Nicole Egler?
Here.
Rachel? Sam? Did she pop in?
She'll be back. There she is.
Here I am.
Sam is here.
Okay. And I
And
see Morgan too.
and John McElveen and
Oh.
June.
Oh, wow.
Thanks, everybody.
Okay. Sarah Adelhart.
Here.
Sarah Hubner. Sean.
Here.
Stanley.
Here.
Tammy. And Tatiana is gone and Tim is out. We are at quorum at 26.
Awesome. Great. Thank you, everybody. I really appreciate you hopping in. We quite literally can't meet without you. So we needed to make sure that we are at quorum so the panel review committee can proceed. I will dive into the regular presentation for today. I just want to touch quickly on our timeline. Carly has been adding all sorts of meetings. I think we have 4 panel reviews this week. Our goal is my goal is that we finish this week, and that includes counties like Multnomah, Washington, and Lane. So we've got some work ahead of us, but if we lean in real hard, we can do it. The OAC needs to finish its decision making by February 21st. So all of a sudden, like we've got some time pressures as well. We can do it, and I'm excited for it. I know we're going to lose Sean at 3:30, and he is a reviewer, so I'm going to jump around a little bit. But unless there's any questions, I'm going to jump in right back into Wasco County where we left off, doing the regular intro for anybody joining us today for the first time. Questions, comments?
Abby, if we weren't here for half of the discussion, can we still vote or how does that work? Because Wasco was partially done last time also, right?
Yes, it was. Yes, you can still vote because you're a panel reviewer.
Okay, good.
And the question then being about informing your vote. I guess that's a good reminder for anybody who missed a meeting. You don't know if we're halfway through a county unless you watch the recording. Carly, do you have Shannon Shannon O'Fallon's phone number to send her a quick text.
Just asking about voting, right?
And anybody who missed the first half of the county. Good point. Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay. Great. Here we go. As a reminder, here we are, the Drug Treatment Recovery Services Funds Review Panel for Wasco County, and I'll do an overview once, and then we'll dive back into Wasco and then hop into Lincoln and Umatilla for the remainder of our day today. This is a call for conflicts before we begin. The applicants for Wasco County are Boulder Care, Eastern Oregon Center for Independent Living, Mid-Columbia Center for Living, One Community Health, Wasco County Youth Services, and Youth Empowerment Shelter. If you have a potential conflict of interest or an actual conflict of interest, now would be your time to let us know. Hearing none. Our process is reviewing each and every of the 331 applications and ultimately making funding recommendations to the Oversight and Accountability Council. So our objective is to, after applications are scored, that the review panel may meet as many times as necessary to provide final funding recommendations to the OAC. And we must, to the greatest extent practicable, recommend at least one applicant in each of the 6 service areas in each county. And our goal is to do a successful majority vote and make those recommendations to the OAC. As we continue to meet, the OAC continues to meet and continues to fine-tune its prioritizations. And I'll give you a little bit more of an update once we get through the overview of the Wasco County applicants. But the prioritizations that we have been functioning under most recently is that the OAC is prioritizing both existing applicants and culturally specific programming. All right, we've done introductions, we're at quorum. Again, if you need to hop off, please holler so we can track that. We are a Zoom webinar recording for future digestion later if someone wants to watch. And we do have folks tuning in today to watch our discussions and deliberations, and to see that you click on the participant indicator on the bottom of your screen, and you can see who the attendees are hanging out with us today. Again, we have a lot to get through every time, so please make sure your discussion is concise. If at all possible, refrain from using the chat and participate in the conversation in the room. We will make sure that any motions are captured written in the chat. And the Measure 110 staff can jump into applications if needed to help read and reflect that information if the reviewers are not present. And then we'll call a vote at the end of the meeting. As a reminder, this is our formula we're working towards, trying to get each county more or less toward the dollar amount highlighted in yellow. And here we are revisiting Wasco County. So where we left off, many thanks to Carly for tracking this, we left off after on Mid-Columbia Center for Living, the third applicant here after peer support, right, Carly? And we can jump right into housing. And just a flag for Sean, if we lose you because we had to wait for a quorum, it is okay. We've got Grace and we've got the Measure 110 team. So thank you for being so thoughtful and communicative. Okay, so jumping into MCCL, we've got Drew and Emily. Drew is here. Emily, I don't think is here yet, but the questions at hand that we're discussing for each applicant, and we can start over from Mid-Columbia Center for Living if that is helpful, is to first identify the community mental health provider in that county, to fully read the question 7, which is about culturally specific services. And then for specific to SUD or substance use disorder, describe what is being proposed and whether that is or is not billable by Medicaid. If someone is applying for peer supports, are those services provided in the field or in the office? And what part of the other pieces of the application are those peers integrated into, specifically with SUD and housing, and with housing, what kind of housing? Is it transitional housing, permanent supportive housing, shelter, rental assistance, or something else? And then harm reduction, same as with housing, if you could give us a menu of what the applicant is requesting, whether it's naloxone distribution, wound kits, or other types of harm reduction services. So with that, we're going to dive right back into MCCL. And Drew, are you ready to tune in and chime in?
I am ready.
Awesome.
I was out on Friday, so I'm picking up midstream here, but I'm happy to jump in.
Thank you so much for that. We're going to pick up. So we already went through screening assessment and SUD. I'm sorry, Carly, my brain. Did we finish peers or are we moving into housing? You're on mute.
I believe we did finish peer support. Kathy
Okay.
can confirm that. I think she was the one reading. Is she here?
Who's that?
The question is, Kathy, do you have record of where we ended on MCCL? What service areas do we need to start with? We believe it's housing, but I want to make sure we're right.
I'm looking at my notes. Hold on.
Okay.
The recording went all the way up till housing, so I'm almost positive that we can
Okay.
just double check.
I think you're correct on that.
Okay. You know what? Because we have so many, and I'm sorry I'm asking so many questions, but because we had such a turnover in folks from Friday to today, let's just start from the beginning.
Absolutely.
So that we're all on the same page with this applicant. I believe they are the CMHP, is that right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, they are.
I remember that part. That's good. Drew, can you read their answer to question 7, please?
Sure.
Well, Drew, specific, thanks.
Yes, MCCFL has been working on increasing its access for our Spanish-speaking communities, which comprise a large portion of our communities. MCCFL has all of the components in place to apply for the CLA, Cultural Linguistic Award, which means we have qualified staff in place to overcome language barriers in obtaining and receiving services in-house.
And that's the full answer.
That's the full answer.
Copy that. Okay. And they are applying for $136.9 thousand for screening and almost $295,000 for assessment. I forgot to do orientation to colors. If both reviewers recommended funding that service area, that is in green. Blue means one of the two reviewers recommended that, and orange is neither. So one of the two recommended screening and assessment. And for SUD, Drew, what are they applying for at pretty small ask at 28.5?
Yeah, so I will say that there's seems to be a bit of a not disconnect, but there's need for more information, I think, from between the application narrative and their workbook. The milestone chart is pretty wanting. Like they really only list their goal as 20 individuals per year for each of the subject areas. And the budget itself has very meager narrative. For example, for housing, the description is, I mean, it's a small ask, but all it lists is emergency shelter.
Okay. Okay. So as the CMHP, we can maybe carefully, assuming is dangerous, I know, but if they're able to get most of their services covered by insurance and Medicaid, that perhaps
they are able to bill Medicaid and are eligible for reimbursement. So
great. So is for what Medicaid can't cover,
right,
or for folks who are or underinsured. Can you say a bit more about their peer support? It's a similar situation where there's some basic information in the project scope, but the workbook provides limited extra insight into what activities they hope to provide. So the peer support services to conduct outreach and connect folks to services include specific peer services for MAT, InReach, jail hospitals, and UCRM. And I'd say the narrative also doesn't make it super clear exactly what they would do. But there is a request for funds to go towards salaries. And how many FTE in that $1.1 million ask?
4.
4 over 4 years. Okay. Any questions for Drew before we move into, well, you already talked about emergency shelter housing. Anything else for Drew before we have a rundown of harm reduction? Okay, harm reduction at 14,000?
Mainly in the form of giving out Narcan supplies.
Okay. So those are all of our prescribed questions. Any clarity or follow-up for Drew before we move on to One Community Health? Great. Thanks, Drew. Appreciate it.
Sure.
All right. And I just closed my list of reviewers. So who's on deck here for One Community Health? It is Sarah Hubner and Evelyn. And I don't think either are here today. Nope. Okay. So between Kathy, Ariana, and Jason, let's get at it. So they are an existing provider, a current burn grantee. We know they are not the CMHP. Ariana or Jason, could you please read the answer to question 7? Or Kathy, I'm not sure who has narrative versus workbook responsibilities.
I'm getting there with
I
the,
have number 7 if you want me to go ahead and read it.
great.
It says, we provide culturally and linguistically specific services as needed. The demographics of our past SUD patients show that they are mostly white. However, as we become more accepted and trusted by our diverse communities, those who identify as Hispanic, Latino, Latina, and Native American, the representation in our SUD programs is increasing. We have the staff and team in place to provide culturally and linguistically specific SUD services to meet their needs.
Thanks, Jason. So we see they're applying for 167K and 188K for screening and assessment, respectively. Are there any questions from anybody about that before there is a telling of what is in their $142,000 SUD request? Okay. What is in their SUD request that is not Medicaid reimbursable? Jason, can you continue with this one?
My apologies. I was looking for a couple of different things. If Jason wants to jump in, that's fine. I was reading the narrative in the proposed budget, salary and benefits. It's 1.06 FTE registered nurse case manager to manage individual treatment plans and liaise with services. This case manager is a 0.25 FTE across 4 service areas and will also be a dual position with Mid-Columbia Center for Living, 0.5 FTE in total and 0.25 FTE from each organization. Salary and benefits, 2 is 0.25 FTE support specialist to conduct outreach and community engagement at events and on our mobile medical unit. One Community Health, 0.5 FTE RN to assist at no cost.
And was your question, Abby, about the billing Medicaid?
Yeah, so what are they proposing in their application that is not billable, making sure those are not billable by Medicaid?
So in their fiscal and technical narrative, they say the services outlined in this application are not eligible for reimbursement from Medicaid or other health insurance companies. As a healthcare clinic, we do have the ability to bill Medicaid or other health insurance. However, the services we are applying for are not billable or reimbursable.
Perfect. Thank you. Pierceport at 106. I know Kathy, you shared a bit more. The question about Pierce is, can you tell from the application if they're integrated into SUD or housing? And are they going to work in the office or in the field?
It looks like there's some on their mobile medical unit, 0.25 FTE peer support specialist to conduct outreach and community engagement at events or on mobile medical unit.
And coming in from their project scope, they do say our peers are the cornerstone of our SUD and MAT program and provide individually tailored support for our patients. So it sounds like the peers are definitely tied into the SUD.
It's great, thank you. For housing, it's a $418,000 ask. One of the two reviewers recommended. What kind of housing are they proposing funding?
Transitional and supportive housing for individuals with substance use.
Okay. And last but not least, harm reduction. The ask is for 28,000. And what are they wanting to purchase with that?
We've been providing harm reduction services such as Narcan, clean syringes, and STI testing for the past 2 years at our clinic or on the mobile medical units, and we'll continue to expand this program with further funding.
Great, that is it. Thanks, Jason. Any other questions or comments about One Community Health and existing grantee? Okay, hearing none, we're going to move on to Wasco County Youth Services, which is Sean, who I believe is on the road, and Grace. Grace, can you take it? And I'm going to put into the chat just the quick the questions so everybody can have it handy.
I'm sorry, Youth Services, and we're reviewing
Wasco County Wasco County Youth Services, and can you please read question 7 and then walk us through their application, please?
the question. Sorry, I'm trying to pull it up. Question 7 of like the one that says, does your organization provide culturally and linguistically specific services
Yes.
to specific cultural community? If yes, please clearly identify the cultural community your services are primarily designed for and delivered to.
Great. Can you please read their answer?
Yeah, let me pull up the application. Sorry, 1 second. One second, sorry. I'm trying to pull it up, but it's not. I don't see it.
Anybody on the M110 team have it up and rolling to help?
Sure, I've got it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ariana.
Yeah. It's a little varied, but their answers are not numbered. So under culture and linguistic services, it says youth and families from within our community are involved in ongoing policy making, service protocol development, and program evaluation activities. They will participate on the advisory group of people with lived experiences to assist in the monitoring and evaluation of the MARC and its work. And MARC is an acronym that stands for RC stands for Resource Center. So it's a resource center that they are proposing to build in conjunction with Mid-Columbia Center for Living. This is critical to ensure the MARC is meeting the cultural and linguistic needs within our county, specifically when implementing services to ensure they are offered in the youth and families' preferred language. This may require engaging certified interpreter services or language lines. Many youth who identify as Native American along the Columbia River and not directly connected with the tribal services offered through their tribal enrollment. At recent training, the framework for tribal best practices was provided to Wasco County and will be the key framework for developing cultural practices for the tribal youth and families living along the Columbia River. Currently, Wasco County Youth Services facilitates several circle groups, specifically allowing youth who identify as LGBTQ+ and allies to have a space to guide and lead life skills groups. There is a current group that self-facilitates with youth services and the drop-in center. Youth identifying as non-binary or a member of the LGBTQ+ community are at higher risk of isolation, family conflict with lack of support, and impacts of bullying. The MARC approaches youth as they present to the assessment center, including youth preferred name, pronouns, and sexual orientation. The MARC works with youth to meet their needs and create the plan to assist them from being successful.
Great. That is an answer. Thank you, Ariana. The rest of the questions that we've been asked to go through for each applicant are in the chat. So we know they're not the CMHP. We've got the full answer for how they are culturally responsive or culturally specific and those services. Wasco County Youth is applying for $390,000 to $133,000 for screening and assessment respectively, not SUD. So for peer support, can Grace or Ariana tell us what kind of peers they would like to deploy and for what purpose, since they are not applying for housing or SUD? How are they integrated into their service, and are those peers field-based or office-based?
Yeah. It's a little buried, like Ariana said, so I'm trying to find where they mention peer services.
And sometimes
So if
we
you
get a
find
little
it
bit of
before I
a
do.
sometimes we can get a little bit of a quicker answer by opening up the workbook and looking at the budget, because then you can see what the peer supports for 133,000, kind of how they're building that, if it's FTE and what kind of peers, and then you can assess or to answer those questions. It's a bit.
And I have
Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Point 2 FTE of each peer support specialist will be spent working with youth to enter, maintain, and re-engage if necessary into treatment, wellness services, and life skills. And I want to call out an important reminder for Wasco County, and that is that a significant portion of the county is within the Warm Springs Indian Reservation.
Yep, thank you. Last is program costs. Oh, that is it. So peer supports and screening and assessment is all they're looking for. Program cost is $31K. If anybody has any questions, now's your time to ask them. And on deck, do we have Greg or Stanley? Stanley, I thought I heard you. I did. Is Youth Empowerment Shelters next. Okay, no other questions about Wasco County Youth Services? Okay, great. Thank you, Stanley.
I'm sorry, I don't have it up. I'll look right now.
I have it up, Stanley, if it saves time.
Yeah, I am looking it up. If you could start, I will finish.
Great. This is for Wasco Youth. They say our primary target community is youth and young adults ages 10 to 23 who are in crisis. The primary reasons that a person utilizes our services are due to homelessness and family conflict. These primary reasons often come with a variety of secondary reasons that include substance use, experiencing violence and abuse, mental health needs, and being a member of a marginalized community, such as a person of color or a part of the LGBTQ+ community. As the only youth shelter in a rural community, we generally do not have the numbers required to provide financially sustainable, culturally specific services. Therefore, we do our best to meet everyone where they are at and utilize some of the more general providers that are able to employ and run culturally specific services. It is our goal to expand to target and better serve communities of color and offer services in Spanish due to the 20% Hispanic population in our county.
Thanks, Ariana. You got it up, Stanley?
Yes.
Awesome, thank you. So they're applying for peer support and housing. Can you answer the questions about those two service areas, please?
Yes. I'm looking. They're eligible for Medicaid and billing other health insurances. And what was the other question? I am so sorry.
They're in the chat. And so for peers, are they integrated into housing or SUD or some other services that they already perform? And are those peers office or field-based? And the question for housing is what kind of housing? Shelter, transitional, rent assistance?
And I opened mine and I don't understand why I don't have the right my notes, but I will look at what they have.
Great.
I also have some information about that if you'd like me to go.
I appreciate you so much. Sorry.
That's fine.
I am not feeling the best today, and I wanted to be here to help support, and I feel bad.
Thank
I will
you.
keep
Thank
looking.
you.
Being in quorum is important, so thank you. We are also including housing support in this request. Our agency provides the only youth and young adult focused shelter and transitional housing program in our region. A critical part of the continuum of recovery and treatment services, our crisis housing is able to help address immediate needs. Transitional housing is drug and alcohol free, creating an environment where houseless young adults in recovery are able to receive appropriate supportive services, that can facilitate movement to independent living. Due to the intensive nature of our services, our primary program expenses are related to staff, FTE, and supplies associated with each activity, outreach, peer mentoring, and housing support.
Thank you for that. And thanks for being here, Stanley. So any questions about Youth Empowerment Shelter? Okay, I'm going to sum up where we're at. We've got 6 applicants for Wasco County. 4 of the 6 are current grantees, and we have been through and reviewed each of the applications. Carly, did you hear back from Shannon by any chance? No? Okay, no, she's pretty slammed. We'll see how this goes. So just as a summary, if only the green areas were recommended, we would be under the formula just a bit. And what has been happening, because we now understand what the priorities of the OAC are, we're really looking at existing grantees and those who assert that they provide culturally specific services. So as remember, this is not pick this or don't. This is simply a starting off point as we need to come to a vote, not a consensus, about what to send over to the OAC for their consideration. This is a potential Behavioral Health Resource Network 1. So it is only the previously funded applicants, which is EOCIL, Mid-Columbia Center for Living, or MCCL, One Community Health and Youth Empowerment. We just listened to those summaries, and we started Friday, finished today. And you see there the grand total ask is $5.4 million, which is just about $350K over the ask, which is a small amount. Keisha.
Yeah, the screen change. I'm sorry, I'm driving, so I can't toggle screens. But I really would like to include what is it, WASP services maybe? They're a new grantee, but Wasco County Youth Services, yeah. They're a new grantee, but they have a strong priority population that they serve, and I think it would be beneficial to include them in this. I don't know how we would toggle the formula, but really making sure we include them.
Okay, noted. I'll go into the second recommendation here, which is to so it's all reviewer recommended areas. So these are all of the service areas that are green. So where both reviewers said yes. And then not funding, where just one reviewer said yes and one reviewer said no. that is option number 2. That puts the difference just under $500,000. So there's a little bit of money. This sounds silly, but there's a little bit of money to play with. And Keisha, please be careful while you're driving and looking at these crazy tables. And there's also, of course, lots of other ways we could slice this up, right? We could do, or you could decide, we only want to fund, I'm making this up as I go, housing for this provider, but not for that provider. Or we want, this is a great menu, but we're going to have to keep people at a certain level and then have folks work within that. So there's a bunch of ways to go with this. And maybe Ron has some thoughts. Go ahead.
Yeah, I do like potential burn number 2, but my question was about the Mid-Columbia Center for Living. I think I must have been sidetracked somehow. I missed what they intend to do with $28,000 for SUD.
Yeah, was that where we started? No, we picked up kind of late. Oh no, Drew began from the beginning there. It sounds like because they are the CMHP and they already do a lot of
Okay.
Medicaid and insurance billing, this picks up either what's not covered by Medicaid or folks who are ineligible for Medicaid or are underinsured.
Thank you.
Yep. Do y'all want me? Oh, Keisha, go ahead. And I'm going to go back to that primary slide so you can see what the blues were. If you,
I was gonna make a motion, but
oh, okay. By all means.
I make a motion that we move forward with burn proposal 2.
Okay, thank you. Keisha is made a motion to move forward with the burn number 2 that is on the screen. Thanks, Kathy.
I'll second it.
And Amy seconds. Discussion? Ron?
Yeah, I was going to talk about on the harm reduction for Boulder Care. I know that it was recommended by both reviewers, but it really is a kind of naloxone pass-through, which basically from my reading of it, that's all they're doing is they're accessing naloxone from the clearinghouse and making it available to what they're referring to as community liaisons in the area. So I support the motion, but I would want to remove the harm reduction from Boulder Care.
Yeah, thank you for that, Ron. I'll amend the motion too because I didn't even see Boulder Care up there. My bad.
Keisha, as the owner of this motion, do you want me to go back to for lack of a better term, kind of like the home screen with everybody on it?
Yeah, yes, please.
Make sure
Sorry.
that all of like the harm reduction, make sure that there's ample and that each of the service areas are robust. I'm going to zoom in here a little bit. This is everybody. But note, we can't afford this. So Keisha, your current motion is to fund all of this that is in green and nothing in blue. And I hear you desire to amend Boulder Care's harm reduction. Is there anything else you would want to amend? You are cutting out. Oh. Let's give it a minute and see if her phone picks back up. Can you hear me, Keisha?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, got you now. Go for it.
Okay, sorry. I didn't even see Boulder Care in there. I think
I'm sorry, you're cutting out again. I can't understand what you're trying to communicate. And let's wait a beat and see if you clear it. All right, give it a roll again. Oh, you didn't see Boulder Care, right? So how would you like to proceed?
I'm sorry. Can you hear me?
Right now, yeah.
Okay. So I didn't see Boulder Care in there. I probably would lean on existing providers, except for Wasco County Youth Services. So I like two, and maybe I know only one reviewer only recommended some of the areas, but maybe still pushing those forward with the existing providers.
So moving forward the entire requests of those 5, EOCIL, MCCL, One Community Health, Wasco County Youth Services, and Youth Employment Shelter, and not Boulder Care. Is that correct?
Yes. So
Okay.
moving forward, all the asks, except Boulder Care and add in Wasco County Services,
Got it.
Youth Services.
I heard. Okay, so Keisha, thank you, Kathy. Keisha amended the motion to move forward with Wasco potential burn proposal number 2 and remove Boulder Care. One other amendment, Kathy, is to move forward with the blues as well. In fact, let me just make this easy. It's this page. This is slide 12. This is everything. And just removing Boulder Care. It's still going to be over, but that is Keisha's motion.
There's not a proposal number on that.
There is not.
Okay.
This is new. And Amy seconded. Heard that. Is there? We'll make sure we capture it.
Does that bring the ask closer to the county cap though?
Oh, closer, yes. But it was still with this, it's a $1.4 million over, so it's probably still about $1 million over.
I'm sorry, and probably low. I'm looking at the ask for peer support for Mid Columbia Center for Living. Maybe funding.
So, Keisha, we can, this is your motion. Amy seconded. We're now having discussion. You can also move forward as is with the 5 fully funded applications, just leaving out Boulder Care and allow the OAC to figure out how to get within formula. That's another way to do this.
Okay.
And
just highlighting that we probably need to look at peer support for Mid Columbia Center for Living. Just that side note.
Okay. Thank you, Kathy. Appreciate it. Keisha amended motion to move forward with Wasco County potential burn proposal with 5 providers, all the blue areas included, and removing Boulder Care from it. And with a look at Mid Columbia Center for Living peer support. Amy, do you still second that? There she is.
Sorry, I couldn't find my mute. Yes.
Okay. Is there any other discussion? Okay, let's vote. Thanks, Carly.
Amy, how do you vote?
Yes.
Keisha?
Yes.
Morgan?
Yes.
Ron?
Yes.
Abby?
Yes.
Ariana?
Yes.
Ane? Don't think she's here. Dana?
Yes. Hi,
Danielle?
I'm
Sorry, go
sorry,
ahead.
this is Ane. I am here,
Oh.
but I refrain from voting.
Thank you. Danielle?
Yes.
Drew?
Yes.
Elizabeth?
I am sorry, Carly. Is the recommendation or the burn proposal 2 that we're voting on, is that what's in front of us on the screen?
Yes.
It is this without Boulder Care.
No.
Grace?
Yes.
I'm sorry, Emily, did you pop in?
I
don't think
did, but I
okay.
just got here, so I missed the whole discussion, so I'm gonna abstain.
To Gregory? Greta?
Yes.
Hannah?
Yes.
John?
Abstain.
Juliana?
Yes.
June?
No.
Kathy?
Yes.
Kirsten? She may have left. Liz?
I'm sorry, I'm here. I
Oh.
didn't click my mute.
No worries.
I said yes if I can vote, but I wasn't here for the last.
Oh, that's
So
right.
that was the question. So maybe abstain for now.
Okay, yeah, I still haven't heard back from Shannon. Liz?
No.
Mark?
Yes.
To Michelle?
Abstain.
I'm sorry, was that abstain?
Yes, I'm abstaining.
Okay. Nicole Corbin?
Yes.
Rachel?
Yes.
Sam is not here, right?
I am here.
Oh, hi, Sam. Everyone's here today.
No, it's okay. I have to abstain for the same reason as Kirsten.
Got it. Sarah Adelhart.
I also have to abstain.
Sarah Hubner, don't believe she's here. Sean? Stanley?
Yes.
Tammy? And Tim. Tim is not here. That passes with 18.
Oh, Nicole's hand is up.
You didn't
Did I
say me,
skip
but I
you?
also vote yes.
Thank you.
And Nicole Silva voted in the chat as well. Okay. Okay, thank you. I know it's hard. Oops, muting myself. It's hard going from one meeting to another and you miss it. So thanks for everybody for doing their best. I appreciate it. I'm still screen sharing, so I'm just going to toggle. We're going to hit up Lincoln County now. I'm going as much alphabetical as I can, and thank you for your patience. These just went out a bit ago. I was out in the field this morning and didn't get back until about 2 to get these out. And many thanks everybody who rapidly finish your last applications, because then we have to receive them and do all of the work to put this out. So also shout out to Ariana for all of that legwork. So we're going to start here. Slideshow from the current slide and talk about Lincoln County, Oregon on the coast. Central Coast is known for its stunning natural beauty, featuring a mix of coastal cliffs, sandy beaches, and dense forests. The county seat is Newport, charming town with strong maritime culture. So Lincoln City has about 50,000 residents, predominantly white, about 80%, smaller populations of Native American, Hispanic, Latino, and Asian residents. Relatively older population, reflecting its appeal to retirees. Also a popular tourist destination, artsy and outdoors, and all of the beautiful coastal things Oregon has to offer. Population, 50,600, median household income 61K, and 80% white, as noted. Poverty rate is just under 16%. There you've got your age distribution. Intellectual and developmental disability rate is 16.5% of folks under 65. Approximately 40% of the households are low to moderate income, and unemployment rate is 4%. Of the 8, I need to do a call for conflicts. This is the perfect time to do it. I'm going to pause. So these are the applicants for Lincoln County. Boulder Care, Community Helping Addicts Negotiate Change Effectively, or CHANCE. Faith, Hope, and Charity, Helping Hands Reentry Outreach Centers, Lincoln County Health and Human Services, Northwest Coastal Housing, Phoenix Wellness Center, and Samaritan Health Services. Does anybody have an actual or a potential conflict of interest for any of these applicants? Okay. The county-wide formula available for Lincoln County is $6.1 million. You see at the top of the blue there. Of the 8 applications submitted, all pass minimum scoring requirements. The total applicant ask is $20 million, $13 million over the formula amount. We are going to start here at our, I'm calling it the homepage, feels like homeroom, going through these applications. And I already put in the chat. So if you could please queue up your application and be ready to lean in if you're here today and able to review. And we're going to start with Boulder Care as per usual. And I will orient yet again. Orange on the left means an organization that is a current grantee and is reapplying for funds. Green is when both of the 2 reviewers recommended funding. Blue is when one of the 2 recommended funding, and orange is when neither. And we see program costs in the column on the right, ranging from $1 million down to 0. And so you can ask more about what is in that ask when we get there. We're going to start with Boulder Care with Evelyn, who is not here, but Drew is here.
Hi there. Yep, I'm here. Are we still doing these starting with question 7?
Yep, it's in the chat. Anybody, if you need me to put it back in there, happy to do it. But yes, read question 7. We'll find out who the CMHP is, and then just roll through those questions, please.
Okay. Boulder Care is committed to providing intersectional, culturally, and linguistically specific services to patients. Boulder maintains an active organization-wide diversity, equity, inclusion program that engages staff on ongoing discussion and educational topics, using both internal and outside expertise. Boulder is focused on a variety of issues affecting its diverse patient population. For example, anti-racism, the intersection of race and the war on drugs, language education for specific populations, i.g. Native American, criminal justice and how it mishandles addiction, harm reduction principles. Boulder Care prioritizes a diverse care team, including clinicians and care advocates who will provide care themselves and help educate the larger care team staff based on their own lived experience and unique perspectives. Currently, the Boulder team is comprised of the following: 33% clinicians and clinical support staff identify as non-white, Black, Indigenous, Hispanic, Latinx, Asian, or 2 or more races. 8% of clinicians and clinical support staff identify as female and 20% as male. 3.6% of clinicians and clinical support staff identify as LGBTQIA+ or Two-Spirit. Okay. Down. So Boulder Care, this is the same application we reviewed for Boulder Care for other counties.
Can you just can you summarize there, Sud? It is a $700,000 ask in this county.
Yes. One moment. It is for staffing expense, and including staff for telemedicine, diagnosis, prescription medication, care coordination. I believe it's just for staff for SUD.
Great, thank you. I know we can't just say, yep, same applications, just different county. We have to make sure that we're having,
Yeah.
equity for all of them. So thank you for your patience with that. Peer support, maybe I'll help. In other counties, Drew, Boulder Care has indicated they needed some additional funding for peers through telehealth to continue support their clients of their substance use disorder treatment services. Is that what this ask is for?
It is.
Great. And the harm reduction, as we just heard Ron discuss in our last meeting, is around distribution of harm reduction supplies through mail, which might be a benefit for folks who live in more rural parts of our state. Are there any other details in that budget that would indicate the $148,000 ask?
That looks to be, yes, the same.
Okay.
No additional.
Okay. Are there any questions about Boulder Care specifically in Lincoln County before we move to Chance or Community Helping Addicts negotiate change effectively, which is Grace? Any questions for Drew? Dana.
Can you go into a little bit more detail in regards to the staff that they're requesting for the SUD treatment?
Sure. Sorry, it's not organized quite how I expected. Need a minute. No, I'm not able to give more info right now. If you
A lot of the times in the budget portion, it kind of breaks down how many FTEs, what type of FTEs. I don't know if you have that available.
I do have it up, and I'm just not finding it in a clear breakdown.
They don't have a clear breakdown. They just have a care delivery salaries, and there's no specific number of staff listed.
Okay.
I'm glad someone can confirm that for me because I was trying real hard to find it.
Yeah.
Thanks, Drew. Thanks, Kathy. It's
So
hard.
maybe-
It's hard to discuss such a high ask for SUD treatment if it's for staffing that we're not clear on, especially when we're, SUD treatment is a Medicaid covered benefit. Just trying to have a better understanding of such a high ask for SUD.
The only thing I can see on here is in number 2 in their project scope, that they talk about looking at secure mobile applications, opioid use disorder and alcohol use disorder screenings by an Oregon licensed certified nurse practitioner, low barrier substance use disorder treatment, including telemedicine-based diagnostic and prescriptions for OUD and AUD. And that's about the most that they mention in here, specific to SUD.
And sometimes we can dig around and you find a milestone of how many people they hope to serve. I mean, that's another indicator of the capacity, but that's not FTE related.
The milestones list provide care to underinsured patients, and they list that 4 times with the goal number of from 72 up to 127. And the same with the rest of them are moving from a peer support from 72 individuals up to 127 individuals, and that's over the 4-year period. And harm reduction, they say 432 units the end of year one, and it goes up to 762 units by the end of year 4.
Thank you. Appreciate it. And thanks to Carly for chatting with Shannon O'Fallon. If folks didn't hear an entire presentation, you're welcome to vote. If you have reviewed, you were panel reviewer. And if you have questions, we'd want to make sure that you are fully informed before you vote, of course. Great. Thank you, everybody, for I appreciate the team effort. We're going to move on to community helping addicts negotiate change effectively, and that is Grace.
Yeah, pulling it up. Question 7 for Chance. Cultural and linguistic specific services. It says Chance does not provide culturally and linguistically specific services. We do provide culturally and linguistically responsive services and refer individuals to culturally appropriate organizations when they provide the resources the client needs and are better suited to assist them. And that's all that's there for that section.
That's a very concise answer. Thank you, Grace. So they only applied for peers at 860. Can you say more about what the peers, how the peers are integrated into their offerings and whether they're in the office or in the field?
Yeah, so for peer support, they say that the objective during the 4-year grant period is to expand peer support services in the Lincoln County area. This funding will continue the services already provided in the current BHRN funding, ensuring a gap is not created for clients and those suffering from substance abuse disorder. We would include more outreach and collaboration with community partners. We also seek to improve results for peer goals. Let me see. For peer goals and the timing of achieving those goals, this funds 3 full-time peer support positions at a livable wage and includes benefits. It maintains an office in Newport for peer support, currently using substances. And then they say they'll also cover administrative costs, which include staff, business services, and required insurance. And that's under peer support services.
That makes sense why their program costs are 0 because they built it into the one service area. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
Thank you, Grace. Any questions for Grace? While we're waiting, Grace, you can pull up the next application, which is also yours, Community Services Consortium.
Oh, got it. Okay.
Any questions about Chance? Okay. All right, you're back up. Thanks, Grace.
So, Community Services Consortium. Am I also reading question 7?
Yes.
Okay. Let me pull it up. So it says, yes, a community action agency. All of our services are designed to support those who are experiencing poverty, which in itself is a specific cultural community. In addition, we have culturally specific services for rural populations, veterans, Latino, Latinx communities, including bilingual and bicultural staff, people with disabilities / the disabled community, LGBTQIA2+ populations, youth, and other services for BIPOC communities. They continue to say that we understand the intersectional nature of culture and identity and recognize that all of our participants are individuals who hold multiple identities.
Thank you, Grace. And they are applying for screening at 128,000, and their next is a peer support application at 385,000. Can you share the details about that, please? Just whether they're in the office or in the field, or if are they integrated into their housing?
Their support. Yeah, so they have 0.05 FTE operations manager to coordinate services across program components and provide intensive support on more complex cases. a 0.33 FTE employment specialist to provide mobility mentoring, resource navigation, job coaching, career exploration, experiment assistance. Hopefully I said that right. And to set up work experiences. And then they have a 0.33 FTE family advisor to provide services both on and off site, conduct outreach, provide home visits, culturally informed mobility mentoring, and identification of supportive services.
And for housing, is it transitional housing, shelter, supportive housing, rental assistance, emergency housing? What are they asking?
I see rental assistance. Residential support includes rental assistance, utilities, application, and moving fees and related occupancy costs for 15 participants per $4,000.
Thank you. And last but not least, harm reduction at 200. And while you're looking at that, I want to make sure that we've got Greta or Greg here to talk about Faith, Hope, and Charity, who is next. Go ahead, Grace.
So harm reduction, they have 0.05 FTE operations manager. I think, let me read the, wonder if that's the same thing. 0.05 FTE operations manager to coordinate services across program components and provide intensive support on more complex cases. 0.33 FTE family advisor to provide services. Okay, this sounds like the same thing, but the included costs include harm reduction supplies and information for participants under harm reduction.
And there's nothing specific about the supplies.
Nothing specific. No,
Okay.
it just says, just says
Okay.
cost. Just say supplies, no additional examples.
Okay. Thank you for that. And the program costs are $165,000. Any questions for Grace on Community Services Consortium? Before we move to Faith, Hope, and Charity, and it looks like Jason, Kathy, or Anna, you're on deck for that one. Any other
Oh, I'm
questions?
here. This is
Oh, you
Greta.
are there. Oh,
I'm here.
awesome, Greta. Thank you. I missed you.
That's okay. I was late today, so I'm here now.
Awesome. Thank you for being here. Any questions for Grace before we move to Greta? Okay. Thank you, Grace. Greta, I put the questions in the chat. Let me know if you need me to repaste them.
Okay. Question 7.
Awesome.
Faith, Hope, and Charity is a Black-led nonprofit agency located in Benton County that serves individuals throughout the Lynn, Benton, Lincoln County region that focuses on BIPOC and LGBTQIA2S+ youth, adults, and families. Faith, Hope, and Charity CRMs, PSS, PWSs, case manager, and coordinator are trained to provide culturally appropriate peer counseling and support services. The staff has also completed equity and diversity training and trauma-informed counseling. The FHC staff attend annual diversity, equity, and inclusion trainings to increase their knowledge and skills. Our CRMs, PSS, and PWS identify as BIPOC, with one employee that identifies as LGBTQIA2S+. All of our staff have been in recovery for over 5 years with lived experience that enhances their ability to provide culturally relevant support services. Our target population for the peer support service program are individuals who identify as BIPOC or LGBTQIA2S+. However, we provide services to anyone.
Awesome. And yes, just for peer support, no program costs or anything. What kind of peer programming in the field, in the office, and how is it integrated into their offerings?
It is in the field, and they are out in homeless camps integrating that kind of, they're kind of integrating harm reduction, a little bit of harm reduction, but a lot of resources and support, sleeping bags, and enticing people into treatment and other needed services.
And I'm sorry, please go ahead.
No, go ahead, ask your question.
How many? Because for 1.1, I'm curious what kind of breadth they can offer.
So that is funding 0.25 FTE of a coordinator, 2.0 FTE of a CRM, PSS, or PWS, along with 0.05 FTE of a CRM, PSS, PAWS supervisor, and then 0.15 FTE of an executive director. And that's basically, besides training of the staff, it's all just for staffing costs for the 4 years.
Thank you so much, Greta. I appreciate it. Any questions for Greta about this application? All right, I hope you're stay off mute because you're up next also with Hannah for Helping Hands Reentry Outreach Center, which is a new applicant, not an existing grantee.
I can go ahead and read question 7.
Thank you.
So they said, does your organization provide culturally and linguistically specific services? So Helping Hands wrote that while we do not provide any specific cultural or linguistic services in Lincoln County, we do partner with Linguava for all translation services. Our approach is grounded in the principles of trauma-informed care. We recognize that individuals experiencing homelessness and behavioral health issues often have histories of trauma, and our services are designed to foster a safe, supportive environment. We actively collaborate with local behavioral health providers and culturally specific organizations to deliver services tailored to the diverse populations we serve, including BIPOC, Black, Indigenous, and people of color, LGBTQIA, plus individuals and those with disabilities. Our team is trained to implement strategies that are sensitive to cultural differences and trauma histories, ensuring that each individual's experience is honored and respected. Additionally, our services are designed to meet the Americans with Disability Act requirements, providing accommodations to ensure accessibility for all individuals. That is their response to question 7. They, and then whether they're Medicaid eligible or not, says Helping Hands Reentry Outreach Services became a health-related service network in May of 2024. And wait, do I have the right document? Sorry, hold on.
And for this, or you're welcome to just hop over to peers because many of the peer services are not reimbursable by Medicaid, nor is housing. Some are, but so the question for peers, is it office or field-based, and are the peer services integrated into the housing program?
Yes, the peer services are integrated into the housing, and the peers are there to support with the housing navigation. The specific housing is for like emergency shelter. And in my notes, I just said I would recommend funding, but just with concerns that the program operations and peer roles were not clear with how they will operate within this shelter housing. I didn't see like I couldn't tell how many peers they were going to hire. Or the type of peers, but it is for emergency housing, and the peers are integrated into the housing support. Sorry, did I miss?
No, you got it. You nailed it. Thank you. Greta, anything you want to add?
No, that was excellent. I did want to say that in their application, they said that in 2024, May of 2024, they became HRSN, which then they said services fall under the outreach, housing, and nutrition, the HRSN services. I don't know what that exactly means, but they did stipulate that they may have some other type of reimbursement that they could use. But I also wanted to say that Helping Hands is also a program that is doing a lot of outreach in their shelters to those that are coming out of the criminal justice system. And I also forgot to mention with Faith, Hope, and Charity that organization works a lot with those that are also involved in the criminal justice system.
Thank you, Greta. Any questions? Sorry. Oh, Ron, go ahead. Awesome.
Yeah, just for Helping Hands, what was their response to return to use?
Their response is, yes. So Helping Hands Reentry Outreach Center is actively working to, nope, that's not the right, sorry, it's not numbered. Helping Hands Reentry Outreach Centers employs a harm reduction and trauma-informed approach to address return to use and ongoing substance use among clients. We understand that recovery is a nonlinear process. And our strategy focuses on meeting clients where they are without judgment. Peer support specialists play a crucial role, providing consistent guidance, emotional support, and relapse prevention strategies one-on-one. When return to use occurs while in our program, our response is immediate but supportive. We offer them to one of our community partners who provides medical detox if needed and our 30-day rehabilitation programs. After this, they can be referred back to one of our HOPE centers and readmitted to the IRP. So in my notes for 9, I just said that peers provide prevention, and they state that they're trauma informed and provide harm reduction approach, but they refer clients to community providers that offer detox or rehabilitation, and they do readmit people back once they are no longer using. But they didn't say abstinence based, but they did kind of, yeah.
So it sounds like they kick people out.
Yeah. Well, yes, if they are using, then their approach is to have the peers help get those individuals connected to treatment services and then re-enter them into their shelter.
30 days later.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Morgan?
Yeah, I just want to clarify there that they obfuscated a little bit, because the implication there is that the people leave, and it sounds, because if people got second or third chances, I feel like they would have said that. And so that line about the response being immediate makes me feel like they are immediately asked to leave, although the answer is a 10.
And there comments or questions about this applicant?
Yeah, that's the way it sounds to me too, Morgan.
As we move into Lincoln County Health and Human Services, who we believe is the CMHP for this community, I just want to, as I was listening, I was just looking over at the total countywide formula at $6 million and looking at the totals for all of the applicants, which is amazing. I wish we had all the money to throw down for these for the providers that make the most sense for the OAC. These are all going to be really hard decisions. So I thank you for listening so hard as we move into ongoing reporting out from these last 4 applicants and move into some recommendations. And Mark Jansen just unmuted before I could even call on him. Fabulous. Take the reins, my friend. You're on.
Okay. So for Lincoln County Health and Human Services, the answer to question 7, LCHHS is deeply committed to reducing health disparities and improving health equity in our communities, particularly those most impacted by the war on drugs. We recognize the profound and long-lasting effects this war has had on individuals and families, disproportionately affecting marginalized and underserved populations. We have worked to implement various programs and initiatives aimed at addressing these inequities. We focus on providing comprehensive health services, education, support to ensure that everyone, regardless of the background or circumstances, has the opportunity to achieve optimal health and well-being. We strive to provide accessible health care by offering culturally competent, no or low-cost healthcare services, remove barriers to care for those affected by the war on drugs, work to raise awareness and educate. Through community outreach and education, we work to dispel stigmas and promote understanding about substance use and its effects on health. Our treatment and recovery program are tailored to meet those needs of individuals, offering them a pathway to recovery. We advocate for policies to promote health equity and support the dismantling of systematic barriers that perpetuate health disparities. By focusing our efforts on those key areas, we aim not only to alleviate the immediate health challenges faced by those communities, but to also create a sustainable model of health equity and justice for the future. Burn funding has allowed us to add services and supports to make meaningful impact and drive positive change in the lives of those impacted in our communities by the war on drugs.
Great, thank you. Their screening application is 440,000, for assessments 477. This is an existing grantee, as Mark already mentioned, and their said ask is just shy of $1 million. Can you share what they would like to use these funds for that is not Medicaid billable?
Yeah, so okay, that section of their application was a little bit vague. They didn't answer if they would be able to bill Medicaid or not. But they said in the second question that all billable services will be submitted for reimbursement when able. However, some positions in our programs are not able to bill.
Is there anything in the workbook in the budget under SUD that kind of adds detail to their $1 million application?
Yeah, so they completed the monetary portion of the proposed budget, but they did not put on the budget form a narrative, and so they were very verbose on the other sections of their application. But it's a little hard to find.
They put the numbers there, and usually on the left, there's some sort of descriptor. Is it FTE? Is it like?
Okay, which section am I going to?
SUD.
SUD, gotcha. Program screenings, assessment, SUD. There we are. Let's see here. They have medication, and they have looks like a there we go. Community health nurse and a case manager.
Okay, interesting. Thank you. Any questions about that? Ron?
I don't understand the medication part. If they're, I mean, that's paid for by Medicaid, right?
For uninsured or no insurance.
And what's that number?
20,000 a quarter.
The 80,000 over, 20,000 per period, per year.
Oh, sorry, 20,000 per year. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nicole, did that answer your question?
Yeah, never mind.
Okay, great. So this is for folks who don't have health insurance. Okay, thanks, Mark. Peer support. So 712.
Right.
Wait, sorry, going back to that. So
yeah,
that's $80,000 of the 995. So two positions is 900,000. So is that right?
Yeah, one's a community health nurse, and they're looking at 1,117 a year for a nurse, registered nurse, probably
170,000.
117.
Yeah.
And then 90 for a OBAT case manager.
Okay.
Times 4. Yep. Any other questions on SUD before we move over to peer support? Okay. Mark, are they integrated into SUD or their housing? And are those peers office or field-based? Can you tell?
Yeah. Look here. Okay. In their narrative areas, it says that Lincoln County Behavioral Health will be responsible for screening, conducting comprehensive blah 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 blah, and ongoing career. They are. Let's see here. They just completed community peer mentor training and were able to certify 11 new peer mentors. In addition to the treatment, they offer an array of services, including resource navigation, rental assistance, case management, peer support, and crisis response. On the budget, it looks like they have 2 peer support specialists for payroll, And that seems to be the bulk of that. Or actually, that's the only thing on the budget for peer.
Okay. Does it say whether those peers work in the office or in the field?
Not on the, there's no narrative on the budget, and
Okay.
and so aside from the note that they have 11 that they have certified 11 peers, that's all they said.
Okay. Nicole?
I reviewed this one as well, and I saw that there are certain evenings where resource navigators and street medicine physician goes out and does outreach.
Okay. Certain evenings.
A little bit. Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
that was in their outreach section.
Great. Let's
Thanks,
move on
Nicole.
to housing. Shelter, rental assistance, emergency housing, permanent supportive housing. What are they asking for?
They're asking for $1 million, and
housing?
what their narrative said was that they work in partnership with our FQHC and CSRS, and will add primary care in the shelters starting in November 2024. We operate out of 2 locations in Lincoln City and Newport, 25 beds and 50 beds.
So they're wanting to integrate healthcare into the existing shelter system. Is that correct?
I'm looking for it.
Okay. Nicole, feel free to chime in.
It looks like they have an office-based addictions treatment program that's like maybe in the same building as the housing. It says transitional and supportive housing.
Okay.
Yeah, and basically what they're saying is that they want to have the additional funds in this round to increase capacity.
And we've got this at 230,400. Is that what you've got on the workbook too? I heard you say $1 million, and I wanted to make sure what we're looking at is accurate.
Yearly total is 23,400. Yeah.
Great. Okay.
Yeah.
Great. All right. Harm reduction. That is almost 5 million. What are they
I'm
purchasing?
sorry. Sorry. Did you just say the yearly total or the total total?
Total.
Thank you.
For harm reduction, they have a paragraph about that. The harm reduction program is focused on decreasing more immediate harms, giving people choice and access to a broad range of options to stay safe. Meets people where they are at with non-judgmental approach, recognizes that health and harm reduction are accepted to everyone. Harm reduction services are offered at fixed locations throughout the county: syringe exchange and disposal, STI testing, safer sex supplies, products for basic needs, and referrals to care are available at these regular locations. In addition to harm reduction workers, the last round of burn funding enabled our program to add, where'd I go? In addition to, okay, yeah. You know, to add a full-time nurse to our harm reduction team. This is the only harm reduction nurse in the county. Our nurse coordinates monthly meetings for all harm reduction providers in Lincoln County once a month to discuss community needs. She is available to assist with all harm reduction staff with vaccine clinics, STD checks and treatment, Hep C treatment, referrals, and wound care to avoid burnout and relapse. For some, we are adding clinical supervision and support for mental health professional quarterly for all harm reduction teams and navigation staff. The nurse is also available to assist the Lincoln County Jail by administering medications and hepatitis treatment as they are experiencing healthcare staffing shortages. She also offers routine Narcan training and supplies. Adult leaving custody with information on harm reduction and Narcan to take with them.
Great. So that is a full, robust menu.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. Any questions for Mark or Nicole on Lincoln County Health and Human Services? Okay. Nicole, go ahead.
There's something kind of weird though. They build medication in two different categories. I guess that's okay. So they build 20,000 of medications under sub treatment, and now they're also asking for an additional 44,000 each year under harm reduction for, I guess, Narcan.
Yeah. Because
Okay.
medication assisted treatment or medication supported recovery is a clinical intervention. Great. Ron, go ahead. And then before you start, we're going to have John McElveen and Sean McMahon chime in with Northwest Coastal Housing next. If you could get queued up, that'd be great. Go ahead, Ron.
Yeah, pardon my lack of knowledge on this subject, but do the providers purchase items from the clearinghouse?
Oh, that's a good question for our SUD team around the clearinghouse and how that all passes through. Is that, I know Sam needs to hop, but is that Nicole or John or Dana? Any of you have additional intel how that works through the OHA?
With the clearinghouse, Abby, it would be Jude and Kirsten, but let me see if I can, what is the question though?
Our folks who are providing harm reduction, who are saying they're going to get materials from the clearinghouse, are they purchasing items from the clearinghouse? Is it a purchase or is it a state gift? I don't know.
Yeah, so the clearinghouse is we provide the naloxone, so they're not utilizing their own funds. But we also know that some providers are doing a combination of both. It just depends if they're in the clearinghouse, and I don't have the list with me right now.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Sam. Glad we snagged you before you had to go. Okay. Any other questions for Mark or Nicole? Hey, June.
Yeah, and I might not be correct, and I hope Sam hasn't left, but I think the clearinghouse is to supplement, right? I don't think that they provide all the Narcan that every organization needs to distribute. So just, I know that there are organizations that purchase Narcan also through the clearinghouse too.
That's right, June, because the clearinghouse is not funded 100% naloxone saturation, and so we budget the clearinghouse based on the funds that we have, and then distribute it across the counties based on their need, population, and overall use of the naloxone.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, everybody. John and Sean, take us through Northwest Coastal Housing, please. If you could read question 7 and share what their housing proposal is.
Sure, I can take that. They actually misnumbered their questions. So culturally and linguistically specific services. NWCH follows culturally and linguistically specific and culturally and linguistically responsive services, or responsive policy. BIPOC, the navigation manager is a Grand Ronde tribal member working closely with other tribes of individuals represented at the shelter and is sensitive to indigenous practices, including smudging, prayer, and encouraging sweat lodges. BIPOC populations are referred to supports from culturally specific and culturally responsive agencies outside services provided by NWCH CPR staff to partner agencies such as Faith, Hope, and Charities, and I apologize if I mispronounced this name, Centro de Ayuda, and certified recovery centers. And the staff have also been tooled with translation pens that have been tested with bilingual staff and sheltered individuals.
Thanks, Sean. Can you jump over to their housing proposal and share what kind of housing they would like to fund or continue funding?
Yeah, it says on the proposed budget that their objective is to provide 14 transitional and supportive housing non-congregate units in the rural coastal county for homeless individuals and families with SUD. The program operates under the Housing First model. The low barrier units come with case management, peer supports, and housing navigation services. Let's see here. They have listed as deliverables as provide client-centered upstream housing readiness supports in the journey of those with SUD. These readiness programs include access and advocacy to detox centers, residential treatment centers, certified recovery centers, transitional housing, and long-term housing with aftercare tenancy support. NWCH works closely with all burn agencies and many others providing peer supports, transportation, employment, healthcare, mental health care, food security. NWCH will lead weekly agency huddles with burn partners and other interagency overlap for success. And NWCH will initiate leads client-centered case conferencing for 1 to 2 clients per month. And NWCH anticipates 80% successful upstream housing.
Anything
No,
else?
yeah, and I was just going to say that within their scope document as well, they do state that NWCH owns 208 housing units with varying levels of supportive services consisting of a lot of different areas.
Okay. Sounds like a robust housing offer. Any questions or clarifications needed before we move to Phoenix Wellness Center? Sean, thank you. And Phoenix, just clicked out of my list. Let me go back to it. You know who you are? You can just start talking. Kathy and John. We have Kathy Cervantes or John McElveen present to help
I heard
us.
you, I just didn't unmute myself.
Oh, thanks, Kathy.
Wow. There's number 7 is Phoenix is a culturally and linguistically specific provider for Native communities.
There you go. Great. And their ask for screening is 33,000 and 72,000 for assessment. For SUD, it's 1.5 million. What parts of that are not billable to Medicaid? Are they serving underserved populations, or can you share a bit more, please?
Let me see. Let me pull up my stuff. Unless John has something on his already. I wanted to pull up my writings. The program has already expanded hours and staffing. I think they would do the same for this with this funding, is what I wrote. That wasn't very inclusive. So the services provided for low barrier substance use treatment have been steadily increasing in numbers for Phoenix. They have seen an increase since October of 22 from 85 clients up to 272 clients. Over the last 3 years, we've trained 4 trainee counselors into getting certified. It is because of our past funding has been able to expand from having been open Monday through Friday to being open Monday through Saturday for the last year and a half. With the proposed funding, Phoenix aims to be open 7 days a week. In addition to expanding hours of operation at the main burn location in Newport, Phoenix has a goal of expanding existing services into Lincoln City. Expansion of service would include additional groups, as there is only one group at this time in Lincoln City location, and that's under their low barrier substance use treatment.
Hey, Kathy, question 2 on the technical and fiscal narrative talks about the Medicaid supplanting. Is there anything in there about the $1.5 million application and for what services it will be used that are not Medicaid billable, or clients who are not eligible for Medicaid?
I'm sorry, you did ask that question. My apologies.
Okay.
Phoenix does offer services that are eligible for Medicaid, as well as many that are not eligible for insurance reimbursement, such as outreach services, aftercare services, services to those incarcerated, services to individuals on Medicare. When able to, Phoenix does bill out for those services. Recently, they've hired a full-time biller who will continue to work to expand capacity for billing operations. And it doesn't really talk too much about, other than the outreach services, what they can't bill for. Currently, Phoenix provides what is called outreach services, which are peer-based services that are done with individuals who are not always enrolled clients and therefore not eligible for billing.
Okay. Jason?
Oh, just that they do say that they provide screening assessments, needs assessments, SUD, all of harm reduction, all of their services to people while they're incarcerated in Lincoln County, and those people are not covered by Medicaid.
Is correct. Unless Oregon gets that waiver through, which I'm working on. Great. So any questions about Phoenix so far? We're going to move to peer support and ask about how those peers are integrated to the rest of the offerings and whether they work in the field or in the office.
Phoenix has been able to build robust mentoring program over the past 3 years with the aid of Access to Care and Burn funding. Peer mentors at Phoenix help individuals develop a path for how they want their recovery to be, as we provide outreach services for those struggling in active addiction. Peers do not judge, and they provide a safe environment for those that are struggling. Sounds like they're doing most of their stuff on the street with their outreach, and they're also doing about 80% of those services are completed by peers. Peer mentor walk hand in hand with individuals in order to reduce stigma, as well as person's feelings of anxiety, fear, and confusion when navigating the system.
Beautiful. Thank you. And the housing is 144,000 that one of the two reviewers recommended. Is that rental assistance, supportive housing?
Supportive services, unless Jason might have the workbook open. They currently provide housing services for individuals experiencing homelessness by leveraging a robust network of referrals and supportive services. Initially, the program would assess the unique needs of each client, taking into account their cultural backgrounds and specific challenges related to housing instability. So they work with local housing agencies and shelters and community organizations that can facilitate various housing resources.
Okay, so it's staff to help make housing connections.
Yes.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Yep, harm reduction.
Kathy, you asked about the budget. It does say in the budget that they're funding, the proposed funding is to secure rental property, which would allow Phoenix to provide short-term housing, and then they also provide hotel vouchers.
Great.
With the funding asked for.
Okay. And last but not least, harm reduction. What's their quick menu of services at 800?
Narcan and naloxone, education seminars, access to safer sex supplies, education, STI testing, including food, hygiene supplies, and clothing. They also offer sobering support along with access to wound care and referrals to medical.
Great. Thank you. Any questions about Phoenix? We should probably unpack just for a quick second what's in their program cost. The total is 4.8. The program costs are $1 million. Jason, do you still have that workbook open? Give us a couple highlights.
I think I accidentally just clicked close on.
I'm sorry.
No,
That's all right,
that was me.
Are we looking under, I'm sorry, what was the question underneath which treatment?
Program costs for Phoenix.
Their program program cost looks like salary and fringe is what they have on there for approximately 455,000. They also list down below for services and supplies. It has some office furniture, computers, phones, printer, etc., and the lease to the building.
Thank you.
Would you like me to read the narrative at all?
No, I don't.
Okay.
We have thank you. We have 3 minutes left, and I hope please don't click leave just yet. I have a big request. I'm going to stop sharing my screen so I can see anybody who's got their camera on, and Morgan and Carly. So we have a few more of these meetings this week. And this is hard to get through. Obviously, there's so many details that our colleagues have asked to go over. My ask is this, and I'm going to try to support it. If y'all know I cannot be there, would you let me know directly? Some folks have, and I appreciate that. Then I can tell Ariana and Kathy and Jason to be there and be ready to open up the applications and help support that. And if you're going to be there, can you have the applications open and ready to go and try as much as possible to concisely answer those questions? We really need to get through this. And I love the deliberative process through this, but we have many more counties to go and we need to try to be done by Friday. The OAC is going to start voting and moving on. And this is such an important process, and I want to give everybody their due time, and also want to make sure that we are prepared to have that conversation. So my contribution will be resending out all the slides for tomorrow, and then sending out a summary of who reviewed what, so you can be prepared before you come in, and just let us know if you can't be there, and I can tap our team to help support you. So I will get that email out tonight, and tomorrow we're going to dive back into Lincoln to do the last provider, and we're going to do Umatilla and Marion together. Does that sound okay? Reasonable? I really appreciate the partnership. I know it's a lot. We all want to get through this. So thank you for listening hard and being ready to contribute in a concise and thoughtful way to answer the questions that our colleagues are posting. I really appreciate it. And with that, we're going to give you 1 minute back. Thank you.
I do know that on the 5th, there's a pretty big meeting for the settlement board that I think a lot of people may be on. So that's something to consider, because I know I'm going to be on it. Jude's going to be on it. At least in attendance. So,
well, maybe Carly can reach out and see who we
just
can
as far as like Multnomah and Washington. I think we all probably reviewed some of theirs.
Yep. I know there's only limited hours, and
yeah.
I was commenting earlier, we all have boiling pots of stuff on the stove, and they are all just still boiling. So, thank you for your patience as we work through this. We'll get there. Thanks, y'all.
Bye.